Awesome. Thank you very much. So my name is Quinn. I'm at Duke University, and I'm working with Lynn, Rob, Jesse, and Kim on the occupation study that you heard about earlier. If you talk quickly into the flash talks, it's probably a good thing, but slow me down if I'm going too fast. I'll also say that I was told that this was the longest of the flash talks in terms of the number of slides. So I'm really, really sorry that this is going to go way over. Just kidding. It's just one slide over and over again that I just got lazy and didn't want to animate. So a quick overview on the occupation study. We have 17 different modules of like 50 to 60 different identities and behaviors that people rate. 1,700 respondents in total. We apply 600 of those respondents to the core GSS occupations. We make sure those are sufficiently powered to answer some really important and interesting questions. And there are 3,720 unique items that are EPA ratings, prestige ratings, and gender that you've heard about, as well as an additional 400 or 500 when you add things up on demographic covariates. So about 4,500 items in the survey in total. And we asked Qualtrics to have us match things according to the census proportions in terms of gender, race, and ethnicity stratified across, I think, 4 or 5 race categories, age, and the levels of education. So that's the overall goal. And I guess I should tell you what this talk is briefly about. We had some issues collecting this data with Qualtrics, and we've heard that that is not an outlier situation, which I'm very grateful for because I was really worried this must be me. This must be me. Something must be me about this. But I've heard some things that I think might be generalizable that I wanted to share with you, and some action items on how you can address these things if you're end up collecting data with Qualtrics, as well as some alternative options. So the bulk of the story is right in the lower left-hand corner of the graph right here. I have the number of days that I spent interacting with Qualtrics and the email count on the y-axis here. And the slope in this graph vaguely tells you about how productive things were. So if it's not plateaued, you're having a lot of good email back and forth, the slopes of greater than 1 are generally a good thing. And if you see a plateau and it's just an orange plateau, it means that I was working on something. If you see a plateau with like some blues, that's just me mapping Qualtrics over and over again. So the story is that we started copying Qualtrics, it was really, really productive, and then we finished up. And that's my talk. Just kidding. So this took so it's now like 245 days. Things have changed recently. We'll talk about that at the end. But at the time that I made this plot, I had 136 emails. The vast majority of them were from Duke. 20% of the emails were out of office notifications from my Qualtrics client. That was really fun. Any of these stats right here that you see that end in a blue is an email chain that I ended. Began with blue, it means I started it, or and then anything ends in an orange means that Qualtrics did. I thought about using light Carolina blue just because, I don't know, if there's like some analogous animosity that I need to bring to the table. Just kidding. I'm sorry, I'll stop. So anyway, this is so right at the outset, we had some good productive communication as it related to what our dimensions were. This is before we kind of finalized our statement of work. Then right here involves kind of the programming component of the survey. And this is kind of the first issue that I wanted to alert you to as an option for doing a major dictionary study. If you ask Qualtrics if you're collecting data on something like 660 identities and behaviors, you can either split this thing into a bunch of different modules because you don't want people to rate everything and have them provided with several different links, or you can make a mega survey and then apply filters. The mega survey is much higher risk from a survey programmer side standpoint because you don't want to induce errors when you're kind of copying and pasting and adding things. You rather just kind of duplicate the survey 13 different times and then run it. And Qualtrics seemed fine with that. That seems to have substantially slowed things down in terms of how long it took for them to kind of match quotas. And they said, in retrospect, they said right here that it was effectively like managing fall projects. Even though down here they said it would take about 2 weeks to collect the data. So it's something that's worth thinking about. Those lines are some things that we shouldn't talk about. So this blue area, this light green area that you can't see it all on the screen is kind of the next fielding moment. So we soft launched right there. You can barely see it. And in the red area, I did a lot of quality control related stuff. So I kind of really thoroughly investigated the 10% of the data that we brought in, identified issues with it. The 2 issues that are worth knowing about are, one, that attention checks were often failing. And it's really, really important to make sure you check aggressively all their attention checks and really, really drill down on understanding why those aren't working. There were also issues as it related to quotas. So Qualtrics, if you say that you want this proportion of people of this population in your sample, they'll collect until they get to kind of the top of that amount and then move on. So you're not collecting in a way that looks useful. But I guess thank you. So nothing wrong was happening, but what we realized in that process was that effectively people were, or that Qualtrics had forgotten one of the quotas that we'd included in our statement of work. And that's also something that people have said has happened multiple times. So having a conversation with Qualtrics over and over again is really, really important when it comes to the statement of work. The 4 takeaways that I think are important as I wrap up are making sure that you load all of your modules into one project, using fewer criteria when possible because Qualtrics has less to keep track of, talking about the criteria all the time in your emails to make sure that they're really, really aware that that's what's happening, and then negotiating up front who you're going to toss out so that Qualtrics doesn't say, hey, you have to pay for them. We said that you were going to. Thank you.